Just when I thought I'd killed every single ant in town, they came back with a vengeance, Heather. I have angered the ant gods.
I took an instant miso packet, added old rice from the night before, and called it breakfast. Adulting fail or total genius?
Sounds genius to me. You know what isn't fun? Reaching for a sip of water in the middle of the night and accidentally knocking the entire cup all over the bed.
No offense to David Bowie or Queen, but do I have to wake up every single morning with your song Under Pressure running through my mind? I know there's so much to do and there's so little time, blah, 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 but get off my lawn.
Indeed. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, the show that wants you to do just
Episode 154, Sarah. I'm alive. I'm trying to bring it. I'm digging deep into the recesses of my spunk reserves to give you the last.
Spunk reserve sounds a little dirty, Heather, but okay.
Okay, just like a little bit of energy today. I've been sick and I'm finally coming back from the dead. I really feel like I've been reborn. I'm not
Okay.
quite there yet. I'm not quite 100%, but I just want to say to y'all that it's so good to see you. Are you guys doing okay out there? I hope you're doing better than I have been. I hope none of you have COVID.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess we'll get into that. It's inevitable, it seems. Everybody's getting that getting the
The old vid.
I was trying to, make a funny joke about it, but it's just not funny. When you're sick, you're sick.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I really thought I was impervious at this point just by living in the country, and I don't know. I mean, I've been safe. I didn't think I was like, to the point where I'm never gonna get it, but I kind of thought maybe I'd have like a few mild symptoms here and there, but like it hit me a lot harder than I would have ever expected. Um, despite all the sick talk off the top of the show, if you're tuning in for the first time, this is the
Yeah.
show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment.
Yes, the COVID edition.
Yes, the COVID edition, exactly. This is some kind of
We get COVID
therapy.
so you don't have to.
Exactly. And we could tell you all about it so you can see what you're missing out on. I'm telling you,
It's
good
true.
times. Good
It's
times.
true. We if it makes you feel any better, well, it won't, but it just, if you feel some solidarity with anybody else. I talked to a friend, she lives in Los Angeles, and she had been up here because she's a childhood friend of mine, so we grew up together. And she had been up here and said, "Hey, last minute, do you want to come over to my mom's house for a barbecue? She and her husband were going to be in town." Because I'm always saying, let me know when you're in town.
Mhm.
I'd love to see you. And it was kind of last minute, and there was just a lot of stuff going on where I was, and so I didn't make it over there. But I had said, "Well, how long are you in town? If we could make something work later, that'd be awesome." And I just never heard back, and I thought, last minute stuff,
Yeah.
no big deal.
Mhm.
And I heard from her the other day, and she was like, "I am so sorry that I didn't respond. We got COVID."
Oh,
Like, and we were stuck at my mom's,
oh
and,
man.
my husband was not doing well, and it's like, we're not gonna get back on a plane until we're okay.
Mm-mm.
She had to take a bunch of time off work, and I was like, "Oh gosh, well, first of all, don't apologize.
Mhm.
I wasn't upset that
Yeah.
I didn't hear back from you." It was willy-nilly in the first place, but, yeah, it sounded pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a pretty big surge right now because I'm not the only one in the area. In fact, our local cafe closed down because there were too many people that got it and they couldn't run the business. They couldn't cook the food.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I give it to them or did they give it to me? Or I mean, who knows? But there's all kinds of possibilities. But my kind of my brother-in-law got it. My sister has been up here. He was up here for a week. We had some great times together before we fell sick. But my sister's totally fine, which is ironic
Mhm.
because I mean she's the one that's actually the one that I would probably take. I'd take COVID for another week just to make sure she does not get sick because she's very vulnerable. And so my
Right.
brother-in-law, him and I kind of got hit around the same time. And, it's kind of the joke, like, were we holding hands under the table? Like, why did we just get it? Because Elijah didn't get hit till later either. And so, yeah, it's bizarre, but I know a lot of people in other cities on international trips right now, and just everywhere, that are getting it again and getting a bad case of it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, mask up out there if you're not doing that
Right.
anymore, because I know a lot of places are taking down those mandates, and I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. But I'm mostly on the mend. I still have a little bit of congestion, but wow, that was, you feel like you're gonna die. Like, you feel so bad. It's like the flu is no
Yeah.
joke. Any kind of flu, whatever it is, really
Mhm.
is no joke. I see why people, you know, don't make it through it. I mean, it's really brutal on your body, and it takes a long time to kind of get back into the rhythm. And I get too the lack of communication. I mean, your friend, who kind of didn't let you know that they weren't showing up or whatever. It's like you just kind of go underground. You just like you. It's like you can't be bothered. Like, you just don't. It's really, really hard to just
I
function.
mean, I'm already 50% there just as a human, where I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just not gonna respond to
Yeah.
this. Talk to you
You're a
never."
special case, Sarah,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
on a lot of levels.
Thanks, Heather. No, I know that's said with
It
love.
is. Oh,
But
you know.
yeah. Yeah, I've talked about this because I've had so many friends that have had COVID at this point, friends and loved ones. And luckily my mom isn't one of those people. I'm not one of those people. There's always a chance I've had it and I was asymptomatic.
Sure.
Because I've got some some pre-existing conditions, so I really don't want to get sick on
Mhm.
any level other than what I'm already trying to manage.
Mhm.
But yeah, I feel like I was talking to my friend about this because she doesn't have children either, even though she's married, but they don't have kids. And she said, how do you think you've avoided it this long? And I said, well, I mean, I do my best, first of all, to be as safe as possible. I'm still masking up and I'm a frequent hand washer, but I mean, I went out to dinner with some friends the other night and there were no masks at the restaurant and I didn't really think about it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought about it later, like, oh yeah, there really weren't any masks.
Mhm.
Even the people working there weren't wearing them.
Mhm.
And it didn't even register to me. I was just kind of happy to be out and about and hanging with my buddies.
Mhm.
But,
It's funny how that
but I
happens. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
it's like
so, so, so urgent, and then it's like not. And it's like, yeah, you just sort of forget.
well, I think so many of us are just it's like we're desperate for everything to just be normal
Yeah.
again,
Mhm.
which it never will be, I
No.
don't think. I
Mm-mm.
actually it's like what is normalcy?
Yeah.
But it's comforting to be like, "Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about COVID once
Yeah.
for, like, 2 hours,"
Mhm.
We just talked about other things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that I've got some rapid tests at home.
Mhm.
I did one once just out of curiosity. I didn't even feel sick. I was just like, "How does this work?
Yeah.
Let's just give it a go, swab my nose." And, it was negative, and I think if I had kids, which was my point I was making earlier, if I had kids, it would be very
Yeah.
different, right? Because
Of
if you've
course.
got kids, then, it's testing takes on a whole other form,
Mhm.
but I'm glad you're feeling better, that's for sure.
I am, but, it's funny, there's definitely some fallout, which I find really interesting because, for so long, everyone's been on guard and everyone's been extra cautious. Like, you go to the doctor, and then you have to fill out forms anytime you get, like, a service, just to make sure you haven't been exposed, and so, to prepare to
Right.
go to your appointment or whatever. And the funny thing is that I've been on this wait list for a general practitioner up here for a year. And I mean, it's just like really hard to get, there's only so many doctors in these smaller areas. And so it was just like this Christmas miracle that I got this appointment last Wednesday. And it's been on the books for, month or so, they called me and went, "Yay, you know, we can now book you with blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, this is so great." So, of course, that morning was when I tested, and it was like a really faint line, and I wasn't feeling great, but I don't know what I was thinking. I
You
wasn't
just had
totally
a
sure.
maybe a feeling,
I had a
yeah.
feeling, and so, yeah, and then I took 2 tests, one of them, both of them had faint lines, but, that I still, I was sick, and so I they didn't really specify other than calling and leaving a voicemail to let them know if you can't make your appointment. So I called and left a voicemail saying, "I have COVID," like, blah, blah, blah. A week later, I get a terse letter in the mail from the doctor saying, "You are considered a no-show at your appointment. We will have to drop you as a patient. We will no longer service people like you who decide to flake."
What?
Yeah, no, it was such a shitty piece of mail to get while I was sick, like, and tried really
Well,
hard to let them know.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know anyone in the world who's like, "Oh, you have COVID? No, still keep that
Well, I
appointment."
know, and
The whole
that's what I'm
idea is that you
saying.
can't.
It's like this whole
That's the point.
time, it's been the opposite, like, "Do please let us know." Like, even yesterday when I called them back, like, I have to hear back from the specific woman who's supposed to call me today. It's the whole thing is just ridiculous, and they were like, "Well, do you have proof that like, time-stamped, you know, like, I took photos of my tests?" I'm just like, "This is ridiculous." Like, seriously. I mean, life
Oh, I
is
want so the implication is that you might have faked having COVID because you didn't feel like
maybe.
going to your
Yeah, like I
appointment?
flaked. Like it was
Uh-huh.
a here's the thing. It's like I get it. You don't want to create this flaky sort of you don't want people to flake on your I get it. I mean, I maybe they have had problems in the past with flakes, but like don't presume like I just feel like that was such a rude letter to send when you don't even know absolutely for certain what happened to me. Plus, I left you a voicemail. Where did that voicemail go? I don't know.
Also, the like, sending something in the mail is very
It
dramatic
is.
because
That's what I'm
it's gonna take
saying.
a couple days before you even see it. I mean,
Yeah.
why not just call you back and be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're gonna charge you $50 for your no-show," or something,
I
which would
hate it.
also be annoying.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just was
that's
like I was like, "Come on, you guys. Seriously? Like, this is yeah, so dramatic." I don't know. I just feel like everything's kinda chaotic still, you know? I mean, this pandemic really did throw us into a tailspin on so many levels, and you just see it. I mean, I'm trying to get this, mirror delivered, that I bought 2 months ago. I don't even wanna get into the details. It's so infuriating. But
Mhm.
I can't even get through the
Well, you
operator.
wouldn't be the only one.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is, yeah, it's like supply chain, just like absolute chaos in every sort of industry, everything's been disrupted. But I will say, I had all the symptoms last week. It was really brutal. I didn't even have an appetite. Thank God for those instant miso packets. But I had like nausea. I was like, I mean, kind of the whole 9 yards. It was rough. The one thing that was interesting was I wasn't really tired, which is so odd. I was just very
Mhm.
achy
You're
and
you're just awake and
yeah,
miserable.
exactly. Like, I couldn't even really nap. I wasn't even sleepy. I was feverish, I was achy. I mean, I had every symptom in the book. And my boyfriend Elijah, we were like 2 ships in the same house avoiding each other for like 4 days because he was just like, "Oh, dude, like, I'm not getting this." So he stayed away. Like, we were
Yeah.
I just felt like we became so distant, you know? And then he got it
It's like
many days later, and then we became this like 2 punchy sick people, like moaning and laughing at each other and ourselves. And the amusing part, well, there were many amusing parts, but was, I felt like we reverted back to like early 2020, like social distancing, like personal space bubbles, And like my
yeah.
sister and I like set up a couple camping chairs outside and just 10 feet apart, stared at each other, just like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, and I had to send her on a lot of work errands to like, deliver a check in town or meet with a painter or put keys, get my mail or whatever. So it was like, there were always things she needed from the office. And so I would like put a couple envelopes and these checks in a special envelope, like clean it off and then like put the keys in a separate envelope, kind of give her directions on what to do. And like once I started feeling a little better, I started to like make some juice and I started to make some food and I would use rubber gloves to like prepare her plate and like put it out on the porch because she was staying next door in our ADU. And I'm so glad we had that because I mean it would have been screwed if she was staying in the house.
Right. Yeah, like
And
somebody would have had to be like in a sleeping bag outside or
Oh,
something.
exactly, exactly. So it's like just really funny moments where I'm putting my rubber gloves on to like prepare her food and like just I mean, just I can't even tell you how many like thankfully, I mean, like we say on the show, you got to laugh so you don't cry because you got to find the humor and stuff. It makes it bearable.
Mhm.
I mean, it just does. And so one thing that actually was a kind of a little like sick hot tip alert for you guys, whoever's get down for the count out there. I have a fun little app that I got into, and it's not new. I think it's been around since 2021 at some point. But it's called Dream. And I don't know if you know about it, Sarah, or if you've talked about it on DTNS, but
I don't
it
know.
was very
Tell me about it.
amusing to have this app during, being sick. So I was laid up, I was on the couch a lot. I watched a lot of Stranger Things. You get tired of watching stuff though, and you just want something else to do. So this Dream app actually came to my rescue. And my boyfriend I mean, he went way deep. I mean, he's made he is very into it and very good at it. Anyway, so it's basically an app. It's by a Canadian startup called Wombo, WOMBO. I thought it was like
Mhm.
Korean or something. It seemed like such a like an Asian thing. But you write some text, like some clever text, of some kind, whatever comes to your head, and then it generates this kind of AI art. And you can pick different filters and that kind of thing. It's so addicting, hilarious, and fun and weird. So basically, phrases like, for example, these are some of mine that I did over the last few days. Like, you want to maybe use some pop cultural triggers because the AI, it's like a library of all kinds of images and things that it just knows and it'll pull from. So, for example, like Chewbacca plays basketball, like an image that you think would be funny. And like it generate, and then you pick your little filter. There's like,
So
surreal.
this is not Dolly, right?
No.
This sounds a lot like an AI project that has gotten a lot of attention recently,
Well, there
but
might be another
it's
one
not
that's
an app
similar.
called Dream.
No,
Got
it's
it.
an
Okay.
app called Dream. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I know that there's other ones because my boyfriend was tinkering with some other one, but this was the one we were doing it, we were mostly having fun with. Like I did one that was like Homer Simpson throws up donuts, and then like you can, there's like black light filter. There's like Salvador Dali filter. There's like a psychedelic filter, like a rose gold. And there's ones you can purchase, but these are the free ones. And some of them they're brilliant and so weird. You're like, how did it? What? Why did it do that? So it like Freddy Krueger plays with bunnies, and so it knows, that
Right.
like it knows the face, and so you get these amazing images, and it interprets one my boyfriend did this morning that was hilarious. Arnold Schwarzenegger finally folds his laundry. And it is Sarah.
What?
No, it's like he's like
Is
naked.
the Oh my god. Is the idea that because so many of our dreams are, like, nonsensical and we
Yeah,
wake up later and go, "What the hell was that?"
absolutely. And it's so fun
So
because you
it's
wait
yeah.
for it to kind of like process, it's pretty quick. It's a few seconds. Sometimes it'll, we have the ad free one, so you'll get like those annoying game ads and stuff like that. You have to click through. But for the most part, it's a very fun app. It's super weird. You can regenerate it too. If you don't like what they came up with, you can regenerate the image, and you can change your filters and whatever, but oh my god, some of them are so brilliant. I did one that was like, oh, Dana Scully, from the X-Files eats cake, and it can be as simple as that, and it's like, you gotta play with this, Sarah. It's and it I mean, we were just laughing our asses off on the couch, just, like, sharing our images. It's extremely amusing. It's Dream app, and it works on, Apple and Android. My boyfriend has an Android. So yeah, check it out. It's a fun little, distraction.
I'm not sure I realized you were an iOS Android household.
We are. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
Hey, which is fine. I
Mhm.
think, all, everyone's represented. Well, not everyone, but
Well,
the 2 big mobile, OSs are.
well, here's the thing. My boyfriend is a big Google guy. Like, he uses everything Google, but he's not a fan of iPhones. The one issue I have with it, mostly it's fine. Mostly it's relatively, s seamless.
Painless
Yes.
to live together
Yes,
this
but
way,
what
yeah?
really is annoying is, like, we text each other a lot throughout the day, and I use messages on my computer while I'm on I'd rather, obviously, most people do.
Sure.
And so with the Android thing, I have to send myself a text message and then send him what I wanna send him via my phone. It's irritating. So it's like, if I wanna send him a photo that I find, or a link or whatever, and I'm on my computer, I have to, like, stop and, like, okay, send it to
Well, that
myself.
you don't have to do that.
I
You
don't
can you can you can use messages with an Android
Oh,
user. I do it every
he
day.
won't do it. He won't get on it.
No, 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 he doesn't have to get on anything. You can just use messages from your computer.
I've
It's a
tried.
setting.
Oh,
We can talk about it later,
okay.
but yeah, this is definitely something you can and should do because you
Yeah,
should
this
not
is
be sending a
ridiculous.
text to yourself,
I know.
to your mobile device. That's not how this works.
Okay.
It
Alright,
shouldn't
hook me
work
up,
that way.
Sarah. I am
I will.
actually pretty tech savvy, but I guess this one just went, over my head somehow.
Yeah, well, listen, we've all been there.
Oh,
So,
man.
I again, I'm so glad you're feeling better. Anytime anybody has COVID, it's like, well, I mean, let's be honest, they could die. A
Yeah,
lot of people
no,
have.
totally.
It's really scary,
It is.
and I know that for a lot of people, that getting sick might be inevitable, but you're not in a position where you're going to be on a ventilator in the hospital somewhere.
Mhm.
If you've been vaccinated and boosted and all the
Mhm.
things. But speaking of things, I was, as I tend to do as we're getting ready for the show, sometimes I kind of go, all right, well, weekly show, what's been going on in my life since Heather and I talked last? At least, with Heather and I talk all the time,
Yeah.
but, on this show specifically. And sometimes I am like, I don't think anything happened of note in my life in the last 7 days. I mean, I woke up, made myself some breakfast,
Poured
worked,
water all over
maybe.
all over your bed in the middle of the night.
Oh god, that was so annoying. I mean, thankfully, I was just like, "Well, it's just water, and I'll just scooch over to the other
Yeah,
side and
exactly.
deal with this later," but just, it was just like comedy of errors where I'm
Yeah.
like, "It's 3 AM, universe. Really? I did not wanna douse myself with water right this second. I just wanted a sip." But, but I have been, as I complain about how hot it is here all the time, and some days are hotter than others. It's gonna be really hot here this afternoon, but when it's nice, what are we talking? Low 80s type thing, high 70s.
Mhm.
I wanna be out and about, I wanna do kinda house projects,
Sure.
and I can only do those certain ones when we're in between Airbnb guests because I'm running that whole thing.
Mhm.
So, one of the projects, which has just really confuddled me for some time, is we've got this irrigation system. And I've talked about this before, but I haven't talked about it in a while because over the winter, the landscapers shut it off
Mhm.
because it's just going to rain and, there's no need to, overwater certain plants. But then at some point, it has to be turned back on, and they just sort of drop the ball, and so last year, probably around this time when it started getting really hot, where I'm like, the rose bushes, I mean, we need to make sure that they're getting water, or, or they're not going to make it. I figured out that it's this little, like, a digital thing on the side of the house,
Mhm.
and extremely unintuitive. I mean, you could hang out trying to figure out how to schedule things, because there's all these different areas of, like, area 1, area 2, area 3, and here's, the hydrangeas are on area 4.
Mhm.
What time does it go on? You don't want to run it in at 3 p.m.
Mhm.
on a 90-degree day. That's ridiculous, right? You're supposed to water when the water won't evaporate too much.
Mhm.
And I mean, I like took a photo of the unit, looked it up on the internet, like found some sort of a manual where I was like, okay, I see how this works. But I mean, I wouldn't have figured it out just tinkering around otherwise.
Mhm.
And I have since forgotten how that all works. So I have to do that again. It'll be fine. But since we're getting into, real hot season here, and fire season as well, it's like you want to make sure the irrigation is working
Mhm.
correctly. So that's one of my, like, it's like I put that in the category of big project.
Mhm.
It's not actually that big of a project, but it's one of those things where when you wake up in the morning and you're like, "Oh, what's the immediate need here?" It's like,
Yeah.
more toilet paper. That's the immediate need. Irrigation, well, it's on the list, but it's down the list a little bit,
Mhm.
So
Totally.
let's do immediate needs stuff first and then see where we land. And what happens is I often land not doing the other stuff,
Yeah.
because, there's only so many hours in the day. But and on that same train, I live in my little wood cabin, and it's very dusty. It's just the dustiest little place I've ever lived. And part of it is my fault because I have the windows open, I've got animals, and I mean, you just gotta keep up on that anyway.
Mhm.
But and my ceilings are really high. I mean, not reachable by any human, at the, apex of my A-frame. And as, winter, spring, and now summer has progressed, it's like the cobwebs, I've identified them, I've named them, like,
Do you
okay.
see
So the
things
other day,
in the cobwebs?
no, it's not like spider webs. It's
Okay,
just it's
that's
just
good.
dust,
Yeah.
It's just dust. And with I don't know, it's hard to explain. I just have a weird little house.
Mhm.
So I bought this when I moved in a few years ago. It's this duster that has an extremely long extended handle.
Mhm.
So it can, I mean, it's 30 feet, I think, when it's like extended fully. So I, being, the tiny person that I am, I can dust the whole house using this thing pretty well. But it's like then dust is raining down on everything,
Totally.
so you have to, like, cover the couch, make sure the bed's covered, kind of wash everything afterwards anyway,
Yeah.
because now it's just like super dusty.
Mhm.
I made good progress.
Good.
I made a good dent. A lot of the cobwebs are gone. Felt pretty good about myself. But again, it's like this is a project that is way down the list
Yeah.
usually. And I finally I couldn't handle it anymore. And so I made it
You
happen.
know, you should consider yourself lucky that you have irrigation because we don't, and I know
Yeah.
we have, like, 12 times more garden space than you do. We just have all this acreage and we have a bunch of different gardens. And I was thinking the other day, like I go through these waves of feeling trapped, like in life. And I one of the things about being here and kind of taking over like my dad's, life and stuff is like you kind of have to be here a lot and you got to water the yard.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yes.
my
You have to tend it to the
you do,
property.
you have to tend to it, and so I have a gardener who lives on the property who I'm so lucky. I feel, like, completely lucky that she lives right here, and she's amazing, and she does a lot of the watering, so I don't have to, but she's leaving for 2 weeks tomorrow, going to New York, and she's actually sucks. I haven't been able to hug her or really be near her for over a week now. Of course, she's steering clear. She's getting on a plane, but, I was thinking, I'm like, "Oh, man," like, I wanted to maybe do a little jaunt once I get better, negative test, which hopefully will be today or tomorrow. And I'm like, "Oh, man," but it's like, it's warmer weather now. There's no rain and things get dry like really fast. And it's a lot of
Mhm.
watering. It's like it's like quite a few different sections of the property that need to be soaked. And when she's not here and my boyfriend's busy with other stuff, I'm like, who's going to do it? And it kind of just like stresses me out. And we can't do irrigation because we've got tanks. It's a long story. But the irrigation thing is actually more tricky than you would think. But yeah, it's just sometimes I just want to close down one of these gardens. I'm like, do I really need strawberries? Yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so that's a huge responsibility. I went out there a couple times when I was sick and watered, even though I probably shouldn't have. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to do. I mean, this is just
Yeah.
it's like I live on a park and I need like park rangers and lots of helper monkeys.
I hear that, sister.
Yeah,
Having lived now going on 3 years, which is so crazy to me, that
I
in
know.
October
I
I
know.
mean, unless I, like, move out tomorrow, I'm probably gonna be here for 3 years.
Mhm.
October comes soon enough. But, it I cannot think of anywhere I've lived longer than more like 2.5 years
Uh-huh.
in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a renter, so I move around,
Mhm.
either because I found something better or that, fits my lifestyle better,
Mhm.
or, the owner's like, "Hey, you gotta move." I mean,
Yeah.
both of those things happen as a
Kicks you
renter.
out.
So, yeah, you never it's like feeling truly settled.
Mhm.
Not sure what that feels like. And even when I was a kid, my parents moved around a lot because they were also renters. So it's
Mhm.
like, I'm not, I don't really know that feeling of,
Feeling
being like,
settled.
"Oh, this is where I live, like, for the foreseeable future." It's
Yeah.
more like, a year, maybe 2, and
Yeah.
then, we'll figure out the next thing. But I've been here for a while, and I, I've got all my little projects and my bigger projects.
Mhm.
Some of them I get to, some of them I don't, but I try. But it is running the property.
Mhm.
That's part of what I do
Yep.
here, and it is I
It
mean,
never ends.
I got a weird text yesterday from somebody at the, pest control company, which
Mhm.
we've used before just to just make sure everything is
Pest
battened
free.
down.
Yeah.
Exactly, and they hadn't been out here for a while, and they're like, "Just a reminder," and it was like a personal text from somebody who's the person that's coming.
Yeah.
"Just a reminder, I'll be here between 8 and 10 tomorrow," and I was like, What reminder? I didn't know you were coming. I mean, it's fine if you're coming, but, uh, okay." So I texted back like, "Okay, sounds good, thanks." Put it on my calendar and that's it. And then immediately there's another text back, which is like some automated thing saying, "I am currently driving and I cannot respond to your text right now. Please, call the office at this number if you need to talk to a person." Where I'm like, what is like what? I don't okay. What just
It's
I
endless
didn't even
amusement.
make this appointment. I don't even know why you're coming tomorrow, but it's fine if you do. Let's make sure the rats are out of here. So, yeah.
Oh, I totally I feel your pain. Yeah, I mean it's just it's utter chaos out there. It really is. It's funny. I think maybe this is a good segue because just sometimes, you more and more and more and more, you just feel like you're being watched and listened to when you're on your phone and you're talking to Siri and you're on the internet. And, because you are being watched and listened to more and more these days. And so I know that this is something I can turn off in my settings, but like on my phone, when I open up a browser window, um, you know, and the news pops up, it pops up stuff that, you know, I search for. So it's all tailored to like my searches. And I love and hate it. I mostly hate it and I want to turn it off. But it's also kind of cool because some of it is cool, and then others, I'm just like, I do not care about Kim Kardashian. Why are you serving me up, news about her? Um, but so I've been using the incognito windows. I don't know if you do that, Sarah. Um,
I mean, I fully run a VPN,
yeah,
so I'm a little step beyond that, but yes, tell me more.
yeah. Well, I've been, spending this last 6 months trying to be better at planning. I used to be an amazing planner. I mean, I'm a producer. I mean, I
You're a great
well,
planner. What are you
thanks,
talking about?
thanks. But I've been really bad about the travel, and you and I have talked about this a lot. I used to
Mhm.
travel a lot more, and I miss it. I think about it all the time. I know you can totally relate to this, Sarah. But there's a
Yes.
lot of reasons that have kept me on the ground over the last few years. Part of it is the pandemic and just all the chaos that ensues because of this pandemic. And
Sure.
so we're in summertime. We're in the thick of summer, and this is the time where a lot of people get that ants in your pants because it's summertime. The weather's better. You want to go on vacation. You want to see things and do things and have a new experience. And then people get FOMO, because they see that their friends are in these cool exotic places on Instagram or whatever. I mean, it's just the whole thing. So I definitely have more FOMO than usual because it is summertime and I've been sick. I mean, this isn't the first time I've had the flu in the summer. In fact, last week when I was really sick, it was like 75 degrees here. It was like the most beautiful weather. And I was like inside watching Stranger Things, which was kind of a weird experience. But yeah, so I have this list of places that are my short list for the next like few years, just experiences that I want. Like, for example, I'd like to at some point in the next few years go, spend a month in France or Italy and like take a cooking class and just be there for a month, like rent a house, in Tuscany or something and take like a cooking class and just do something educational. Um,
How eat, pray, love of you,
I know,
Heather.
isn't it? Isn't it?
I mean, it sounds great. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to do that as well. Yeah. I'm just like, I feel like there's a Julia Roberts movie about
Oh,
this.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, just and then like, I keep talking about going to Hawaii or going somewhere like tropical, going on a real vacation where I can just wear dresses and flip-flops and blah blah blah. So I spend a lot of time on these incognito windows on my phone searching for flights to these various places for certain times of the year. Like, oh, can I pull it off in August? I mean, do I want to go in August? I don't know. Do I want to go during a crazy time when all I hear about is like crazy horror stories about traveling? Um,
Mhm.
well, so then I kind of pull back and never pull the trigger while everyone else I know is heading out of town with no worries in the world. Just kind of like, yeah, heck, just do it. Just do it. It's no big deal kind of thing. And it's like these travel planner jerks that are like booking their calendars out like all cocky, like, look at me, I have no fear. And
What?
no, just like
Yeah, like
I'm like, God. And
I'd be like, you should probably have some fear, my
yeah,
dude.
my dude. Yeah, and so it's just this jumping into the unknown. I think I'm a little bit you and I think are very similar in that we are a little more cautious. I've heard, I have a friend who just is getting back from Israel. I mean, the most of horror stories at the airport. Missed, didn't miss her flight, was kind of kicked off her flight. She ended up getting COVID out there. Poor gal. Really just kind of a horrible travel story. But I kind of want to try to overcome this, you know, thing that like I'm going to end up in some bad travel scenario. I am leaving on a trip in a few weeks, going to Chicago and Iowa, of all places. And it's cool. It's cool.
I mean, Heather, I feel like you're gonna love Iowa. This has come up. This has come up in the last few episodes. You're like, I'm going to Iowa. I don't know. What am I gonna eat? I think you might love
Yeah,
it.
I might.
Yeah, see some pretty
Yeah,
cornfields
and,
and, meet some nice
I
folks.
know my boyfriend, he's cool, he's cool. He's always got something up his sleeve, and he likes to surprise me with fun little things, and he's like, "I'm taking you somewhere that you're really gonna love," and he won't tell me what it is.
It's Des Moines. I don't know.
It's something specific. It's not like a place.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. Oh,
some
it'll be great.
yeah, it's
It'll be
probably a
great.
location that was, like, shot in a movie or something, and he wants to show it to me. I don't know, something like that. But so, anyway, long story short, I keep threatening to, like, go on these trips and do all these things. And yes, I am doing my little trip. It's only like a week. It's like a 9-day thing. And but I just I don't I think for me, and I think this is what it's like for you, Sarah, is that I I think too much about the potential chaos and, like, crowded airport, can't get on the plane somehow, or I get stuck on the tarmac. I get sick, I have to quarantine. Apparently there's, like, major pilot and air traffic controller shortages right now, which scares me. I'm like, "That seems really sketchy to me." But that being said,
Yeah.
I've got my eye on you September. Copenhagen, Paris, Berlin, one of those is gonna happen. Email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com and let us know, do you have a lot of these irrational travel fears that Sarah and I, grapple with, or are
I
you
don't even know if I'd
fearless?
call them irrational based on people's travel experiences as of late.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, no, we would love to hear from you, even if you're just like, I'm going on a fun trip and I'd like to tell you about it. Please
Yeah,
do
please
let us
do.
know. So we can live vicariously through you. So I've talked about this before. This isn't like some long story, but I'm going to a wedding next week.
Oh,
So
you're
in a
leaving
little
next
over a
week.
week,
Wow.
yeah, I'm getting on a plane. First time since early 2020.
Mhm,
And the whole, people say, oh, you gotta wear a mask, and not everybody's wearing a mask on a plane anymore. And
mm-mm,
I feel like I will wear a mask, but I feel like that is something I can handle.
mhm.
What is harder to handle is, yeah, this just kind of like full on cancellation meltdown that is
Yeah,
going on with air travel right
yeah.
now. And I keep saying to myself, like, maybe it'll just right itself in the next 5 days and
Uh-huh.
I'll have no issues at all. Because where I live, the nearest international airport, well, there's two. It would be SFO or Oakland, but that's not super convenient for me to get to.
Mm-mm,
Like my mom would have to drive me, or I'd have to do some long-term parking thing. And there's a regional airport that is very close to me, which is awesome.
mhm.
It's the I call it the Snoopy Airport, but it's the Charles Schultz Airport, Santa Rosa Airport,
Yeah.
and it is very convenient and just like really small. You just like walk through one terminal.
Yeah, I love that airport. It's like the airport up here, it's very similar.
Yeah, probably. And from that airport, I get to connect through Dallas, and then I go to Cleveland. The wedding is in Ohio, not in Cleveland, but not too far away. And I've never been. So I, when I was making these plans, I was like, this is gonna be really fun. Bunch of my friends are going. Like it'll be like a fun reunion.
Mhm,
And some of those friends who will be there have been doing a lot more traveling than me.
mhm.
Lots of air travel, international stuff. And it's just nightmare story after nightmare story to the point where I'm kind of like, I hope this works.
Uh-huh.
I hope I get there. I'm just gonna assume that it'll be okay. But if it isn't, I don't know. I don't want to get stuck in Dallas. Nothing against Dallas, but just what am I? I, I, it's that fear that has been with me since COVID started. Of It's not so much that I'm afraid of getting sick, although I very much don't want to do that.
Mhm.
I don't want to get stuck
I
somewhere.
know, I have that's my fear too, more than getting sick. Yeah, and just I think it's like the lack of control. You have 0 control. You have to just throw your hands up and let the universe dole out what it's gonna dole out, and I hate that, I think. I think just, like, that lack of control is a huge part of that fear, you know?
Right. Very much.
Yeah, so you're leaving next week, interesting. Yeah, it's funny that we're both going to new, uh, states that have 4 letters and lots of vowels.
Yes. Iowa, Ohio, different
Yep.
states, but both have 4 letters. That's
Yep.
very Wordle of
Yes,
us. Like,
very
yeah,
Wordle.
you just kinda yeah. I I can't wait to hear your reports back from the
The Midwest.
uh, I was about to say homeland. Yeah, the Midwest. And yeah, homeland, could mean different things. But yeah, and I'll do the same, you
Yes.
know, if I make it back from this wedding alive, which I hope to. I'm really actually really looking forward to it. I mean, my the other day somebody who's also going was like, "What are you gonna wear?" And I was like, "Oh God, I hadn't thought about that." I mean, I've got something in my closet that would work, but oh, shoot.
Are you gonna go shopping?
I just haven't been to a wedding in a long time, so it's like,
Yeah,
you know how I mean, just a little intel for anybody who's like, "Who cares about dresses?" Well, women
they
do
do.
quite a bit,
Yeah, yeah.
and if I have been to a wedding and I wore a dress, and then I'm going to another wedding where there's gonna be a lot of the same people, can't wear that dress
Uh-uh.
again. I mean, I could and just be like, "Who cares?"
Yeah,
But everyone would notice,
sure.
so you gotta wear a different dress. But I've sometimes in, kind of like hopping wedding, years, you know,
Mhm.
where I'm like, "Oh my god, I have 5 weddings this year." Depending on who the friend group is, I'm like, "We can recycle some of the stuff because
Totally.
nobody's seen me in it."
Yep.
I mean, sure, you could, like, dig up some photos on Facebook and, like, call me out, but, like, nobody cares that much.
That'd be
But
funny
I'm
if
like,
someone did that.
yeah, like, "I can't believe you wore the same dress, Sarah." But I've got this it's funny, so when my friend asked me, I was like, "Huh." Very much did not think about that. I was so focused on, like, my connecting flights. Didn't really think about what I would pack. Okay. Yeah, wearing heels, not something I do very often anymore. What do we got? I've got this dress in my closet that I like a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and it's fitted.
Mhm.
It's like it's just it's a tight
Mhm.
dress. And and I'm I was sort of like getting to the point the other night where I was like, what if it's like 105 degrees in Ohio that day?
Mhm.
I think the dress might be pretty restrictive.
Mhm.
You know, like maybe I want something more that's like moo esque,
Yeah,
you know, just in
totally.
case it's really hot, you know. And now I'm like, do I like go to the mall and buy a dress? I've got like a couple of free hours tonight. Do I do that? I don't want to do that. So anyway, I don't know. Don't know what I'm gonna wear. I'll figure it out. Maybe a smart pantsuit, Heather.
There you
Yeah, you know,
go.
it's anyone's
It's
guess.
all about the matching pieces, the two-piece matching. I have actually a
Right.
cute, little two-piecer I could lend you if you were closer.
We have no time.
No
There's no
time.
time. There's no time. Even like I was like, I don't know, let's go on Rent the Runway and like see what they have. And it's just like, I'm like, "Ugh,
There's no
is it
time
even
to
gonna get
ship
here in
it,
time?"
and, I know.
Right. And I've got this whole, you know, my post office hates me for no reason at all. So like half the time I have to go to the post office to get my packages. I'm like, the dress is gonna get stuck somewhere. It's mayhem.
Life is
So I
pain,
don't know.
Sarah. Life is pain.
Well, we're gonna do another show before this whole trip of mine, which will be super fun. I'm convinced it'll be
Yeah,
fun
it's gonna be
before it
great.
happens. So, you know, if anything,
Here's a little
there's
something to make you feel
yeah.
better. Among all of these, like, travel horror stories that I've heard a few, like, super smooth sailing. Like, I have a friend who is doing a documentary, and he went to Copenhagen direct from LA. He had to come back
Mhm.
early, there was, like, an emergency, but he was like, traveling was so smooth. He's like, because I was like, "Well, how was it?" I mean, that's
Except for the coming back for the emergency
yeah,
part.
exactly, that part was obviously
The
not great.
travel itself was not the issue.
Yeah, exactly. He said it was just so easy and great and smooth, and I'm like, "Wow, gosh, gotta go to Copenhagen."
Yeah, I've never been to Copenhagen.
Me
It's
neither, it's
definitely
on my
it's
list.
a yeah, it's high on my
Very
list.
high.
Berlin, I don't know. I mean, I miss travel.
Me
I miss
too.
travel a lot.
Me too. Me
Um,
too.
It's helps you feel young and alive.
It does. New adventures, add to your repertoire, your memory bank. And yeah, no, I got some plans, Sarah. I got some plans.
All
I'm
right.
spending lots of time in my incognito. And the reason why I do the incognito window,
I love how it's like
bringing it back.
incognito mode and also travel plans. Like, how are they linked
Well,
exactly? Just
because
so.
I just sort of hopefully assume that maybe, because when you search for flights, and then you search again the next day, they tend to go up. And
Oh,
so
uh-huh.
I'm trying to I don't even know if the incognito window helps with that, but it kind of feels like it might, where it doesn't save your searches so that I can get good fares. And because I mean, I need to do a lot of research before I pull the trigger on a ticket. Like, how do people deal with that actually? That's a really annoying thing that you start looking for a ticket somewhere and then the next day you look again and then it's way more expensive because they're onto you.
I this is well, I mean, I believe you. This isn't something I've really experienced. I mean, besides just the fact that prices fluctuate,
Yeah.
but yes, there's probably a little of that going on.
Mhm.
And yeah, if anybody has insight, hi at havesuchagoodday.com would be a great place to let us know. Also, if you happen to be in our Discord, that's something that we can talk about in our Discord.
Mhm.
Speaking of Discord, we have a lot of patrons who back us directly on Patreon. Patreon.com/have such a good day is where to find out more about becoming a direct supporter of the show if you aren't already. But thanks to everybody who is, and for those at the $5 per month or more level, you can join our Discord. Don't have to, not compulsory, but it's fun. And we've got a lot of folks in there. And I always really get a kick out. I'm not going to call anybody out specifically because Discord is our safe space. But I love when you sort of don't hear from somebody for a while and then they pop back in and they're like, hey, I've been super busy, but I've caught up on the shows and miss you guys kind of thing.
Yeah.
So always gives me a little spring in my step when that happens.
Yeah, anything goes. Anything goes.
It really does. Well, I think what also is gonna go is this episode
Us.
is us. Yeah, we're gonna ski dads.
Yes.
Right on out of here. We're
gonna later, dudes.
Later. You got it, dude. I don't know. This is always Heather and I have never quite perfected our goodbye.
No, we haven't.
We just wing it.
We do.
And so
you never know what you're gonna
you
get.
never know what you're gonna get. Except when we are twins, which we are.
When I think I'm you, you never think you're me. I don't know. It's
all
very confusing.
I will remain Sarah. And I go, no, I'm Sarah. Oh, yeah, you are.
We're just a couple of basket cases. Sorry. I just
just holding it together, universe. Holding it together.
Just barely. Oh.
But everyone, as always, thank you for listening. Always great to have you around. We really appreciate you coming along for our mental health ride. And we'll be back for episode 155, which seemed not a palindrome, but kind of it seems like a cool.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm into it.
Yeah, it's like just like a double digit thing. I like a double digit.
Yeah. It's like when I do a Wordle and I'm like, I'm gonna do a double letter here.
Take a leap of faith.
This might get weird, and then I'm right, and I'm like, God, I'm a genius.
I know that feeling, girlfriend.
Yep. I had it this morning. It was a nice feeling at 7:30. All right, y'all. Well, until next time, I will remain Sarah.
And I will be Heather forever.
Have such a good day.
Later.